Good morning and welcome to the course An Introduction to the Sacraments. My name is Christopher Karstens. I'm the Director of the Office for Sacred Worship in the Diocese of La Crosse, Wisconsin, a visiting faculty member here at the Liturgical Institute, and editor and publisher of the Adoremus Bulletin. This course, An Introduction to the Sacraments, is based entirely on the Catechism of the Catholic Church. Itself, it has 4 parts, and part 2 is called the Celebration of the Christian Mystery. And in the first half, this part 2 of the Catechism gives us an introduction to what the liturgy is, and it's called the Economy of Salvation. If we could summarize this first part, and in fact there's an online course called the Introduction to the Liturgy based upon this section of the Catechism. But if we could summarize this part of the Catechism, we could do it perhaps in 3 points. First of all, that it is Jesus Christ and the work of His Paschal mystery which is the substance of everything liturgical. Peek behind the scenes of the confessional or the liturgy of the hours or the liturgical year, and the reality of everything liturgical is Jesus and His Paschal mystery. Second of all, Jesus and His saving work is now sacramentalized or ritualized. That is, it takes the form of a liturgical ritual, which is the ordering and use of objects, actions, words, music, peoples, times, places that organize and arrange themselves into a liturgical rite. Thirdly, because Jesus' work is made present in a liturgical rite, you and I can actively participate in it. All right? So we come to meet Jesus in the liturgy of the Church. Now, of these liturgical rites, there are 7 that are especially significant, privileged, and important places where we can meet Christ. And these are the 7 sacraments, and these are the subject of today's course, An Introduction to the Sacraments. The order of events for this course will be this. In session 1, we will look at the Catechism's definition and its understanding of what a sacrament is. In session 2, then, we'll move on to looking at baptism and confirmation. Session 3 will devote to the Holy Eucharist. Session 4 to sacraments at the service of communion, which are holy orders and matrimony. And in the final session, session 5, we'll look at the sacraments of healing, penance, anointing. And then we'll take a quick peek at sacramentals, popular piety and devotions, and funerals. So I'd invite you to follow along, please, with the handout that we'll be using throughout the course. Let's begin with number 1 on the page. And in fact, this will be the last word 5 hours from now. When we get to the end, we're going to revisit this very paragraph because I think it sums up very clearly what we're about here in the liturgy and the sacraments. This is from paragraph 1076 of part 2. So this is right at the beginning of this section on the Catechism. It says, the gift of the Spirit at Pentecost ushers in a new era in the dispensation of the mystery, the age of the Church. Now, it's in part 1, or excuse me, rather at the beginning of the Catechism section on the sacraments, where it talks about the economy of salvation and the sacramental economy. The Catechism will distinguish between theology, which is sort of the inner life of the Blessed Trinity, the relationship of the divine persons one to another. This is what the Catechism and the tradition describes as theology, strictly speaking. But economy is how God acts outside of Himself in creating the world, in redeeming the world, in the covenants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Moses, and the 400 years in Egypt, the Exodus and the gift of the Promised Land and the Babylonian captivity, and at the center of this, the sending of God the Son. And then as we go all the way back to the end, which is the beginning of eternity, I suppose, back into God's own divine life. Now, this part here, and so this is the mystery. This is the plan of the mystery, God's plan for creating and redeeming and returning the world to Himself. Okay? Now, the last leg of this journey in the dispensation of the mystery is called the age of the Church. Okay? After Christ has ascended back into heaven, but before He comes again. Now, are we here? Are we here? Sometimes it seems like we're about right there. We don't know. God knows. But this is what the Catechism means by the age of the church here. Okay?